Hi, very good evening viewers. You're watching the news live at 9 p.m. on Sansad Television with me, Rashika. Before we get you details from across the country and the globe, a look at the headlines of the day. Special emphasis on developing modern infrastructure in Amritkal, says Prime Minister Modi in Kochi, inaugurates several projects including Phase 2 corridor of Kochi Metro Rail. Indigenous vaccine for cervical cancer launched. Minister of Science and Technology Jitendra Singh says it will be available for women at affordable cost. UPA delegation meets Governor Ramesh Bains in Jharkhand, appeals to Chief Minister Hemant Soren to clear his stand on assembly membership. GST collections increase for the 6th month in a row. August collections cross rupees 1.43 lakh crore. Big relief for Sri Lanka. IMF agrees to give a loan of $2.9 billion. Calls for relief from lenders. A quick look at some important news of the day. Nearly 90% airspace available for drone flying after liberalization of policy, says Union Minister General V.K. Singh. Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri asserts government is implementing all SDGs with vigor and dedication, expresses confidence in achieving targets. Indian Computer Emergency Response Team and Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore conduct cybersecurity exercise Synergy for 13 countries. Ministry of Women and Child Development starts 5th Rashtriya Poshan Maah 2022 across the nation. NIA announces rupees 25 lakh reward for gangster Dawood Ibrahim, 20 lakh reward for close aide Chhota Shakil. Government removes anti-dumping duty on ammonium nitrate imports from Russia, Iran and Georgia. Prime Minister Modi condoles Gorbachev's demise, hails his contribution to India-Russia ties. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to visit India from September 5th to 8th. Defence cooperation and regional stability to be the focus of her talks with Prime Minister Modi. Strongest global storm of 2022, Hinamnor advances in East China Sea, threatens Japan's southern island with 257 km/h winds. American President Joe Biden to appoint Indian Americans Manu Asthana and Madhu Beriwal to his National Infrastructure Advisory Council. Now the day's top stories in detail. Prime Minister Modi on Thursday asserted that providing basic facilities to every citizen and developing infrastructure is the top priority of the central government. Addressing a public meeting in Kochi, Kerala, Prime Minister Modi said the government is working to provide houses to the poor. Construction of over 1,30,000 houses has been completed.
जहां-जहां राज्यों में भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं, वहां तो तेजी से विकास हो रहा है, क्योंकि डबल इंजन की सरकार है। डबल इंजन की सरकार केरल का विकास को भी नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंचा सकती है। ये भाजपा की ताकत केरल के काम आने वाली है।
Prime Minister Modi also inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of several other projects, including the Phase 2 corridor of the Kochi Metro Rail. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Thursday launched the CAPF e-Awas web portal in Delhi. The Home Minister described it as a key step towards Prime Minister Modi's commitment to increase the housing satisfaction ratio among the paramilitary personnel. He added that CAPF e-Awas for online allotment is being launched to increase housing satisfaction ratio for Central Armed Police Forces personnel, which is a priority area of the government.
8 वर्षों में 31,000 से ज्यादा आवासों का निर्माण किया गया है। 17,000 से करीब ज्यादा आवास अभी निर्माणाधीन है। कुछ ही समय में लगभग दिसंबर जनवरी तक ये समाप्त हो जाएंगे और 15,000 से अतिरिक्त आवासों का निर्माण प्रस्तावित है, जिसकी प्रक्रिया शुरू हो चुकी है।
In a big medical breakthrough, India's first indigenously developed vaccine for the prevention of cervical cancer will be launched in a few months. Announcing the scientific completion of Made in India quadrivalent HPV vaccine, Union Minister of Science and Technology Jitendra Singh said the vaccine will be affordable and accessible to the common man. Dr. Singh added that the vaccine will live up to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Singh also said the schemes like Ayushman Bharat have put India in a position where it can now think about preventive health care. CEO of Serum Institute of India, Adar Poonawala, said they are now focused on well-being of women.
Today we have announced that the vaccine is there. I must congratulate the team in Biotechnology Department led by Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, and a few months from now it will be available in the market.
End of this year, it will be available through the Indian government program, and followed by early next year, we can make some doses available in the private market, but it's going to take about 12 months to scale up in terms of production.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal are scheduled to visit the United States this month. S. Jaishankar would travel to New York near the end of this month to address the annual General Assembly session of the United Nations. During the UN session, India will focus on reform of the UN Security Council, counter-terrorism, peacekeeping, climate change, issues of food security and supply chain, which have become critical in the wake of the Ukrainian war. From New York, Jaishankar will travel to Washington, D.C. for a meeting with his American counterpart, Antony Blinken. He will also meet other top officials of the Biden administration at the White House. He's also likely to meet some eminent Indian-American diaspora leaders. Piyush Goyal is slated to visit Los Angeles on 8th and 9th of September to attend the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity ministerial meeting. He will also spend some time in San Francisco for a high-level discussion with leaders of corporate sector and those from the Silicon Valley. He will also interact with the Indian diaspora. India has taken up the issue of delay in visa to Indians from Canada and other Western countries. MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi told reporters on Thursday that even though issue of visas is a sovereign right of concerned countries, India has sought transparency and predictability in the process.
I think it's a very important issue facing Indian students. From this very platform, in the past, we have clarified that we have taken up the matter, not just with Canada, but with some other countries. And we have requested for transparency, predictability, and making sure that the students are not affected and because this is also that benefits both countries. The visa, we will continue to try to take measures to assist Indian students who would like to go abroad so that they do not face difficulties.
Leaders of Jharkhand's ruling JMM Congress coalition met Governor Ramesh Bains on Thursday. Amid uncertainty over Hemant Soren's continuation as the chief minister, the MLAs complained that leaks from the governor's office are causing confusion and requested that he clears the air. A memorandum submitted by them said the alleged leaks are encouraging political brinkmanship to destabilize a democratically elected government. Lok Sabha Speaker Ombrilla is in Mexico with a parliamentary delegation. He inaugurated the Indo-Mexico Friendship Garden at the Parliament complex there. He said the Friendship Garden will deepen ties between the vibrant democracies of India and Mexico and play an important role in promoting mutual cooperation among the democratic institutions of the world. GST collections in August grew by 28% to Rs 1.43 lakh crore. This is the sixth month in a row that GST collections have exceeded 1.4 lakh crore. The Finance Ministry said the economic revival continues to have a positive impact on the GST revenue. Gross GST revenue in August stood at Rs 1,43,612 crore, which is 28% more than the revenue of 1,12,020 crore in the same month last year. Securities and Exchange Board of India has reconstituted its high-level committee on cybersecurity. The committee suggests ways to protect capital markets from cyber-related attacks. The committee now has 6 members and will be headed by Naveen Kumar Singh, Director General, National Centre for Protection of Critical Information Infrastructure. Earlier, it had only 4 members. The committee includes Sanjay Bahl, Director General of CERT-IN, and H. Krishnamurthy, Chief Research Scientist at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, as other members. The task of showing the overall path has been entrusted. All 100 smart cities in the country will come under the Integrated Control and Command Center by August 25th next year. Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri announced this on Thursday. He added that 80 of these cities already have centers and the rest 20 will be operational by August 15. The minister was addressing the 3-day-long Smart Cities, Smart Urbanization Conference that commenced in Surat on Monday.
That by 15th August, all 100 smart cities in the country would have fully functional integrated command and control center. It is a matter of common knowledge that the urban sector, on which a concerted effort was made for a transformative phase to begin, not just major landmarks, but they represent a paradigmatic shift in the approach towards urban development.
Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will be on a 4-day visit to India from September 5th to strengthen ties with India and discuss regional and international issues. Bilateral agreements will be signed in many important areas, including river water sharing. In Delhi, she will have a summit meeting with Prime Minister Modi. Besides President Draupadi Murmu, she will also meet Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will also meet Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina.
In recent years, both sides have sustained high level of engagement, including at the highest level between our two countries. The forthcoming visit of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina will further strengthen the multifaceted relationship between our two countries, based on strong historical and cultural ties and mutual trust and understanding.
Now let's take a look at other important news across the nation. The Supreme Court has asked the Minister of Home Affairs to obtain verification reports from 8 states: Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Karnataka and Jharkhand on the steps taken to redress alleged attacks on Christian institutions and priests. 2 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists were killed in an overnight encounter with security forces in Jammu and Kashmir's Baramulla district area of Sopore. A spice jet flight that took off in Nasik in Maharashtra from the Indira Gandhi International Airport in Delhi on Thursday morning returned midway to the national capital due to an autopilot snag, a DGCA official said. Oil marketing companies slashed the prices of LPG cylinders for commercial use. Price of a 19 kg commercial LPG cylinder has been slashed by Rs 91.50 effective from Thursday. Senior military officials of India and China held talks in eastern Ladakh. Maintaining security and stability in the region remained the key aspect of the talks. The number of patients under treatment of COVID-19 in the country has come down to 62,748. In the last 24 hours, 7,946 new cases of COVID have been reported. Former Lok Sabha Speaker P.A. Sangma remembered on his 75th birth anniversary. Floral tributes paid at the Central Hall of the Parliament House. Now let's trace the monsoon situation in the nation. Multiple landslides triggered by heavy rain blocked several roads across Sikkim. A massive landslide in 20-mile area between Singtam and Rangpo in East Sikkim blocked National Highway 20 and cut off Gangtok. Many roads have been damaged throughout the state. Heavy rains are hampering the clearing process. The government has urged the people not to travel unless absolutely necessary, since incessant rain has loosened rocks and cliffs, making them prone to landslide. Vehicles have been stranded on both sides of the landslide spot. Alternate routes via Pakyong and Patam have also been blocked at several locations due to multiple landslides. Now time for a short break. On the other side, Pakistan floods fueled by climate change and failure of political will to cut fossil fuel use.
Indians traditionally have lived by the motto, money saved is money earned. This holds entirely true for energy. Energy saved is energy earned.
For India to battle climate change, we must mandate the use of non-fossil resources and ensure that we reduce our dependence on carbon, which is very, very important, sir.
So none of us in this house will oppose the basic concept of efficient use of energy and its conservation. Nobody opposes it, and we fully support it because it is need of the hour, not for the present but for the future generation also. It is highly essential.
Future is going to be green products. That is one. The second, of course, is the fact that this is our golden opportunity to change from being a net importer of energy to being a net exporter of energy.
Welcome back to the news. Now time for all the news from the Russia-Ukraine war front. A team of experts from the International Atomic Energy Agency began their unprecedented and dangerous mission at the Zaporizhia nuclear plant in the war zone. The visit comes on a day a reactor at the nuclear plant had to be shut down due to shelling. Both Russia and Ukraine accused each other of waging attacks at the nuclear plant. Take a look.
A team of UN inspectors began their tour of Ukraine's Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, aiming to safeguard the nuclear facility caught in the middle of the battle zone. Wearing full body armor to enter the nuclear plant, Grossi said the risks were very, very high.
There has been increased military activity, including this morning. Until very recently, a few minutes ago, I have been briefed by the Ukrainian regional military commander here about that and the inherent risks. But weighing pros and cons, and having come so far, we are not stopping. We are moving now.
Grossi said he hoped that the IAEA will be able to establish a continued presence at the plant to safeguard it against an accident.
We have a very important mission to accomplish. As you know, we are going to start immediately an assessment of the security and the safety situation at the plant as it is right now. We are going to be liaising and consulting with the staff at the facility, and I am going to consider the possibility of establishing a continued presence of the IAEA at the plant.
The situation at the Zaporizhia remains risky. One of the two operational reactors had to be shut down due to shelling on Thursday. The Ukrainian president's chief of staff has accused Russia of trying to wreck the IAEA's inspection visit by shelling the plant, while Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov said Moscow was doing everything to ensure that the IAEA team could complete their tasks. The nuclear plant has been a flashpoint since it was occupied by the Russian forces in March. However, it continues to be run by Ukrainian workers. For weeks, both Russia and Ukraine have blamed each other for the shelling at and around the plant that triggered fears of a nuclear disaster. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Nearly 6 million Ukrainian students returned to schools as their term began today, sharing stories of surviving the war. Authorities in Ukraine have tried to build bomb shelters and repair thousands of school buildings ahead of the term to ensure safety of the students. However, schools that are closer to the front lines and have no shelters will conduct online classes. Detailed report follows.
A new school term has begun for students in Ukraine, but many are left with no schools. The war had reduced them to rubble. Others have started studies amid fears of attacks. This school in Chernihiv city was shut down after extensive damage. Students of such schools are being transferred to classrooms available nearby. In Chernihiv and surrounding villages, 133 schools were damaged, 13 completely destroyed. Across Ukraine, authorities raced to build bomb shelters and repair thousands of buildings ahead of the beginning of the new term. Children in a bombed-out school in Mykolaiv are starting their session online. All schools that don't have quick access to shelters or are close to the front lines are launching their term online to ensure student safety. Ukrainian President Zelensky thanked the school children for their resolve and said it was important they continued their education. Ukraine says nearly 2,300 educational institutions were bombed in the Russian invasion. 286 were completely destroyed. UN data suggests over 350 children died and 586 are wounded. Actual figures could be much higher. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Now time for some other global updates. The International Monetary Fund will provide Sri Lanka a loan of about $2.9 billion over 4 years under a preliminary agreement to help the crisis-hit country tide over its worst economic hardships. The agreement was concluded on Thursday. Here is a detailed report.
IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities on Thursday reached a staff-level agreement to support Sri Lanka's economic policies. The IMF said that the deal is a 48-month arrangement under the extended fund facility for about $2.9 billion. It added that the objective is to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability while safeguarding financial stability. Sri Lanka started negotiating for the facility in late April after announcing its first ever international debt default. The government later appointed legal and debt advisors to handle the debt restructuring as prescribed by the IMF. The IMF has urged Sri Lanka to take a series of steps to raise fiscal revenue by implementing tax reforms and introducing cost recovery-based pricing for fuel and electricity. It has also sought increased social spending to help the poor, restoring flexible exchange rate, a capitalized banking system, and a stronger anti-corruption legal framework. In mid-April, Sri Lanka declared its international debt default due to the forex crisis. The country owes $51 billion in foreign debt, of which $28 billion must be paid by 2027. Sri Lanka's inflation level hit a whopping 64.3% for August, continuing to spike as fuel became expensive. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
1/3 of Pakistan is underwater, with at least 1,100 people dead, including 380 children, by monsoon rains fueled by climate change. But that is only part of the story. Analysts say the real problem stems from a lack of investment in warning systems and a failure of political will to cut fossil fuel use.
Pakistan has estimated its losses from the widespread current flooding in the country at $10 billion. Scientists believe that besides the endless monsoon rains this summer, dramatic heat waves in April and May contributed heavily to Pakistan's drowning. The heat waves triggered by climate change accelerated the melting of the country's mountain glaciers, leaving waterways fuller than normal. When months of heavy monsoon rains then poured into streams and rivers already swollen with large volumes of water, floods were the inevitable result. Analysts say that lack of consistent government efforts to boost preparedness and cut risks contributed to the losses. After heavy floods between 2010 and 2012, Pakistan's government promised new monitoring systems for glacier melt and early flood warning systems. But with as many as 5 changes of government since 2010, not all the plans have been implemented. Short of cash, debt-ridden Pakistan has not consistently prioritized for such efforts. International finance to help at-risk countries like Pakistan in the face of climate threats and adopt clean energy has also largely failed to emerge. Furthermore, the $100 billion a year by 2020 promised by rich countries responsible for most of the emissions driving climate shifts to help poorer nations dealing with climate change remains undelivered despite promises that it will happen soon. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Now time for all the sporting action. HS Pranoy breezed into the quarterfinals to the Japan Open being played in Tokyo. Pranoy defeated former world champion Loh Kin Ye of Singapore 20-20, 21-19. Kitambi Srikanth, who had shocked world number 5 Malaysian Lee Jizia on Wednesday, couldn't extend his run at the Japan Open, going down 10-2, 16-21 to local favourite and world number 17, Kanta Tsuneyama. In Asia Cup T20 tournament being played in UAE, India defeated Hong Kong by 40 runs in their second game of Group A last night to qualify for the Super 4 stage. Serena Williams dramatically extended her iconic career with a never-say-die 3-set victory over the world number 2, Annette Kontaveit, at the US Open. The 40-year-old 23-time Grand Slam title winner triumphed 7-6, 2-6, 6-2. 3 times Grand Slam champion Andy Murray has reached the 3rd round of the US Open. Murray came back from a set down to beat Emilio Nova of the United States 5-7, 6-3, 6-1, 6-0. That was all in news for the day. Keep watching Sansad TV for more updates. Good night.